very good evening. Welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Ashing Sani Veerasinghe. Let's have a look at the headlines for today. EDB announces its nearly $19 billion target for this year. Sri Lanka can be the live lab of future mobility technology in the region, says Ceylon Motor Traders Association chairman. News in detail. The Export Development Board announces that it aims an ambitious yet unattainable target of $18.5 billion this year, which is a 15% increase compared to last year. Briefing the media on EDB's key developments during the last year and its future prospects for this year, EDB Chairman Prabhash Subasinghe stressed that promoting exports should be a national priority and that the traditional export basket should be updated.
The target for 2020 is an ambitious target. I need to be upfront in saying that. We're looking at $18.5 billion for 2020. Merchandising sector at $13.5 billion and the service sector at $5 billion. My personal belief after being in this position for just 1.5 months is that Sri Lanka needs to make exports a national priority. For this country to grow, we cannot grow without exports. It needs to be everyone's responsibility to grow exports in Sri Lanka. It's not only my responsibility and my institution and the Export Development Board. It's everyone's responsibility to develop exports from Sri Lanka. When compared to the region, some of the numbers are shocking. Our numbers are almost insignificant compared to the region. We have not changed our export basket for almost 40 years. I remember as a kid, we used to be exporting the same items we're exporting today. Our exports to GDP has to increase. We should look at increasing exports to GDP at least to 30% in the medium to long term. All state institutions must support and take responsibility to increase exports.
EDB Chairman Prabhash Subasinghe also emphasized that government is holding discussions with key countries and blocs to gain foreign trade agreements for the purpose of tapping into new markets.
Identifying new markets is also a key priority for us. To do that, the free trade agreements become very important. We have an ongoing discussion on the Chinese FTA. Hopefully, within the next 12 to 18 months, it should be concluded. I believe it's an important one. Subsequently, I think Sri Lanka should be involved or get involved in the ASEAN agreement, so we have duty-free access into all Asian countries. The government vision in 2020, with the new policies, the EDB is aligned with 3 key policies. One is the friendly and non-aligned foreign policy. Second, technology-based society. And third, people-centric economic development. If you talk about the IT sector, that's a sector where we see massive potential in the short, medium term, and that's an area that can grow. If Sri Lanka grows and exports grow, economic development will naturally happen.
Sri Lanka Tourism, in collaboration with the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Berlin and the Consulate General of Sri Lanka in Frankfurt, participated at CMT Consumer Fair 2020, which was held from 11th to 19th January 2020 in Stuttgart, Germany. CMT, being the largest consumer fair in Germany, attracts more than 275,000 prospective travelers who plan their travel to new destinations and seeking expert advice on future holiday destinations. More than 2,000 exhibitors from almost 100 countries presented and promoted holiday destinations and latest tourist packages for the visitors. Jetwing Travels, Sunway Holidays, Aibowan Tours and Travels Private Limited, Relax Lanka Tours and Lanka Sport Horizon joined Sri Lanka Tourism as co-participants and showcase tourist hotspots of Sri Lanka with the view to promote Sri Lanka as a tourist destination targeting end customers. Ambassador of Sri Lanka to Germany, Karunasena Hettiarachchi, Consul General of Sri Lanka in Frankfurt, Madhurika Veninga, and several other officials attended the opening ceremony of the Sri Lanka Pavilion held recently. Cultural performances, Ceylon Tea Corner and food tasting experience attracted a large number of visitors to the Sri Lanka stand. Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau and the Embassy of Sri Lanka in France jointly organized Sri Lanka's participation at the 40th edition of Fithur International Travel Fair, which is a global meeting point for tourism professionals and the leading trade fair for inbound and outbound Latin American markets. International Fithur Travel Fair was held from 22nd to 26th this month in Madrid, Spain, along with 18 Sri Lankan travel agencies and hoteliers. It was the 40th anniversary and has recorded with 11,400 exhibiting companies from 165 countries, 142,000 trade participants and 253,000 participants from the general public. Moreover, the volume of agendas organized by Fithur within the different B2B has reached 6,880 business appointments. The Sri Lanka pavilion was ceremonially opened by lighting the traditional oil lamp in the presence of Deputy Director Regional Department of Asia and the Pacific of UNWTO, Harry Huang, Honorary Consul of Sri Lanka in Barcelona, Austin Lanas, along with the Sri Lankan travel industrialists. The Sri Lankan delegation to the Fithur was led by Assistant Director of Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau, Sarangi Tilakasena. The Sri Lanka pavilion highlighted many aspects of its potential culture, beauty, Ayurveda and many more which Sri Lanka would offer as a tourism destination. At the Sri Lanka pavilion, Ceylon tea was served for the visitors with a view of promoting Ceylon tea in the Spanish market. Stay tuned for more news after this short break. Welcome back after the break. As a plan to revamp the transportation system, Passenger Transport Management, Power and Energy Minister Mahinda Amravira emphasizes that a draft of the National Policy of Transportation formulated by the relevant stakeholders have been submitted for the Cabinet approval. Minister explained these addressing the conference on sustainable mobility, traffic and public transport solutions and logistics organized by the delegation of German Industry and Commerce in Sri Lanka.
I would like to state that a draft of a national policy on transport has been formulated by this ministry, with the participation of the stakeholders concerned, that it has been submitted to the Cabinet of Ministers for approval before submission to Parliament. This seeks to achieve following: promote the efficient movement of people and goods, the support of sustainable economic development, promote social inclusion to provide access to all, provide a safe and secure transport system and minimize damage, injuries and loss of lives, and protect environmental sustainability and ensure optimum use of existing resources and terms of transport infrastructure equipment across all network modes and users.
Minister Mahinda Amravira also added that the road transportation caters to around 93% of passenger transport and 10% of country's GDP. He further stressed that the government will take steps to build an efficient and environmental-friendly transportation system in the country.
Road transport is the dominant transport mode in the country and it caters to around 93% of passenger transport demand as well as 97% of the goods transportation demand. The sector also accounts for 10% of the country GDP and around 6% of employment. On the other hand, the transport sector is responsible for more than half of the greenhouse gas emissions in Sri Lanka. The sector also accounts for over 16% of the import bill of the country through the import of vehicle and fuel. As His Excellency the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa election manifesto states, our government will assign high priority to develop the transport network and provide an efficient and environmentally friendly system to the public. My ministry has been given the responsibility for the management of transport services is taking speedy action to fulfill these promises.
Addressing the same conference, Chairman of Ceylon Motor Traders Association Sheran Fernando highlighted that Sri Lanka can be the live lab of future mobility technology in the region, delivering solutions to three key issues of the transportation sector.
We have three problems in Sri Lanka. The Honourable Minister brought these three problems out. It's congestion. Our travel speed is 8 kilometers an hour. It's estimated to get to 4 kilometers an hour by 2035. So you could actually walk faster. Pollution, but my figure is 70% of our pollution is caused by automotive emission. And that is having a very negative impact on our air quality. There are days where Colombo is hazardous. There are many days where Kandy is hazardous. And so air quality is of significant concern. We spend $2.9 billion a year on fuel import. And we have so much sun. So, these three issues, plus I think the underlying problem that has brought us to this point is our mass transport hasn't been of sufficient quality. How can we solve the problem cost effectively? What I would like to present to you is a model of 3 Ps. It's policy, platform, and product working simultaneously in a planned manner in order to solve the problems of congestion, pollution, and high cost on fuel. I think Sri Lanka is the best country in the region to be a live laboratory for future transport. We have a relatively small population. We have an educated population. They're tech savvy. We already have 5 million smartphone users. Every Sri Lankan has a mobile phone, so I think this is the place.
The stock market saw a mixed sentiment throughout the week with gains and losses, but First Capital Holdings says they expect a gradual positive momentum in market activity in the coming week. Now an elaborate account of the stock performances for the gone week and a forecast for the coming week will be brought to you as usual by a subject expert at First Capital Holdings.
The stock market index was on a mixed sentiment this week, witnessing gains and losses throughout the week. The turnover level remained moderate on the first couple of days and also the index also was stagnant. However, when it comes to Wednesday to the 29th of January, the bourse surged about 51 points, recording a 2-week high turnover as well due to parcel crossings that took place pertaining to 4 banking sector counters, which contributed about 36% of turnover on that day. Buying interest also continued on Thursday as well, boosting turnover despite the stagnant level of the index. Foreign participation was moderate, broadly on the selling side, as the market recorded a net foreign outflow, mostly centered on the banking and diversified sector counters. Looking at the outlook for the upcoming week, we expect a gradual positive sentiment in market activities, mainly on the expectation of the positive results that is likely to come. We are expecting a recovery in earnings in most of the counters that are likely to release results. We expect activity levels to remain moderate while the foreigners may continue to be on the selling side, although strong buying interest from locals and institutions is likely to absorb the selling pressure as we have seen in the last couple of weeks as well.
Stay tuned for stock updates after this short break. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all-share price index gained 2.04 points to close at 5,929.76 and the S&P SL 20 gained 1.38 points to close at 2,835.04. The turnover was 527 million rupees and over 15 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex rates. And that's all the news today. Do not forget to send us your views, comments and ideas via our email address and hotline. Also log into our Facebook page to be alert on the latest updates. Join us tomorrow with Biz Roundup. Until then, take care. Good night.